It's good to be back, yeah. We're back again.
Oh, yeah. All together, too. I feel bad for you guys, though. You don't get to enjoy my voice sounding all weird like you did last
Yo, did you go back and listen to it?
time. No, I did not. Honestly, I didn't even think about it until I sat down.
Sounded like a child predator.
You
You had like a voice box. You kidnapped somebody.
You sounded like a Timu version of James Earl Jones.
I like
May
that
he
one
rest
better.
in peace.
Yes. By the way, he was. You don't realize all the things that he was in because it wasn't just, the iconic things like Star Wars or, The Sandlot. But I mean, he was in things like The Simpsons and like he's been in a million things. He's phenomenal and yeah, iconic voice. He has one of those voices you just know when he's speaking that who it is. Like there's nobody's got a voice like him. So, yeah. R.I.P. to James Earl Jones. Weird way to start the show. I guess that's where we're starting.
I mean, you said
R.I.P.
you sounded like Earl. I gotta recognize the man. Mufasa, Darth Vader.
Oh, I mean, he classics from my childhood. Classic.
And like the funny thing is like those are the two things that like most people know about him, right? But like you said, right, he was in so many different things. I couldn't name them if you paid me to, but still, I mean, he was and it sucks too. He didn't even make it to see the release of the live version of the Mufasa story. So I don't know.
What?
Come on, they're just milking it though. At this point, like you
basically
can't
doing like
top
a
the
prequel.
original. They're doing like a prequel Mufasa story. It's coming out soon, right?
Because they did a remake of Lion King, they did a live version of that.
I wonder what Mufasa does to piss off Scar.
Yeah, now they're doing a live version of Mufasa from a cub and becoming,
But yes, of course, Disney's trying to make the most out of it. How many Toy Stories are there? How many?
There's gonna be another Toy Story.
exactly.
There's gonna be Toy Story. There's a ton of actually. Like I think it's 2025 or 2027. It might be 2026.
There's another Shrek coming too.
There is, but another Frozen, another Super Mario,
Well, I get
another
that.
like. So I mean, you
I'll
got,
rock out with the Super Mario. I'm
Me
sorry,
too.
I
That
enjoyed
movie was
that
great.
movie.
That
Yeah,
movie
I enjoyed that movie.
That movie
I
was great,
agree.
and I had been saying, I don't know if you remember, I was telling you guys all year that I thought that was going to be like the top box office movie of the year.
And it was.
That was back when we were doing the old show. We were talking some of that stuff.
I definitely don't think it was the top box office movie of the year.
No, second.
But
it was unbelievable.
It was quite enjoyable. I've watched it multiple
a lot of
times.
money.
I've fallen asleep to it multiple times.
And
Drives me
everyone was
nuts.
freaking out about Chris Pratt being, Mario. You couldn't even really tell.
No, it was a great movie.
Yeah. No, it was.
And Bowser was funny with Jack Black.
I mean, speaking of Mario, I think one of the things that we all enjoyed doing was like jumping on the little mushrooms and these different things that were this safe level of violence. And I believe we're starting the show with a safe level of violence.
If you choose this way,
to be
honest, and I'm gonna knock on wood here, and I'm probably jinxing myself, but that's why I gotta do a little knocky knock knock.
Knocky knock knock.
But I'm undefeated in tortilla bets so far.
We're going there.
Undefeated
That's
so
miserable
far.
to think about.
That's what
He's got 3 to hand out.
Just to update people, and I mean, there's more coming too throughout the year.
3. You have 1. So he's got 4 to dish out.
You lost.
And then he's lost
Week
a couple
2
before.
was 2 battles, and then we battled with the Jets and the Niners.
And the Niners week 1.
Oh wow!
And then we have one on whether or not the Mets make the playoffs. So
hey, you know what? Regardless, if I have to get slapped for that, I'm really proud of the Mets that it's September 18th and they're in the playoffs right now. I know we got
right now.
They're
they
2
have
games
a
up.
tough stretch of baseball where they have to play the best team in baseball.
Yep.
Like the 4th best team in baseball, and then the Braves, who are
We're
they
fighting.
practically in a tie with. So
Let's go.
This
is playoff
really
baseball.
what it's going to come down to is those games against the Braves. They get sweep the games against the Braves. Then I think they got a real chance. But if not, I think that they're
gotta
screwed.
reach out to Mike, make sure he's okay.
Yeah,
He's probably hiding somewhere and like waiting for these games to end because they have 4 against the Phillies. Or is it 4 against the Phillies starting tomorrow?
4 against the Phillies,
and then 3
against the Braves,
and
3
against the Brewers.
And tonight they play the Nationals.
Yeah, so I'm gonna count tonight as a win. Count tonight.
I wouldn't.
They've been playing well though. They've
So
been
you say they
having some big
they have
comebacks.
10 games left if you don't
it's-
include tonight?
yes.
4-3-3.
It's tough to sweep, guys. That's why I say don't. This was going for the sweep.
What do they got?
And 3 are against a team that they're like practically tied with that last spot for.
What record-wise do they? How do they got to
Here you
do
go.
in these 10 games to think that they guarantee a playoff spot? No, I don't need the standings. I mean, like from your personal
I think
opinions.
you gotta split, minimum split with the Phillies. You gotta take the series from the Braves. And I think you gotta take the series from the Brewers too.
So that's
to be
4
honest.
and 3. So you're saying they have to
4
go.
and 3.
They have to go 6 and 4.
6 and 4
They have to go 6 and 4 to guarantee
secure
it.
how many,
a spot.
How many wild card teams make it?
3. So it's San Diego, the Diamondbacks, and the Mets right now with the Braves 2 games back.
So the 2
But-
games ahead of the Braves are half a game behind the D-backs.
Oh, I guess the D-backs had a game earlier today because they have one more win than the Mets.
Yes.
Tied in the loss column.
So, but if you look at what the Braves have left, I think that their schedule is a bit easier. And that's where I wonder what you're thinking now.
As Eric has to scroll through 160.
No. no.
Yeah, they do go against
They got Cincinnati, Miami.
the Mets, and then the Royals, baby. Come
Yeah.
on, that's not too easy. The Marlins are easy, but let's go.
It's really the Met series, and then you got to really hope that Kansas City shows out. But they may be resting guys going. I don't know what their position play. Like, where are they at? They may be fighting for something too. If they're fighting for something, I'm wondering what happens here with the Mets.
Speaking of fighting Irish in the chat. What up, Timmy?
He's a Met fan. He's
Is
a
he?
legit Met fan.
Yeah, I'm
He's
pulling for
pulling-
him,
he's
Tim.
pulling
Let's
for
go,
him.
bro.
Where Fife is a Braves fan, and Kansas City's holding on to a wild card spot themselves. So they look to be 3 games up on Detroit for a wild card. So yeah, they're still playing for something. The Royals are still playing for something. That's the only thing the Mets can hold on to. But I'll tell you
Come
what.
on.
Miami sucks, so they're probably going to roll over Miami.
You never
And the
know,
Reds,
though.
And the Reds. So I mean, but I'm just saying, if the Braves go in and handle business and they finish out 6 and 3, Mets go 5-5. I believe the Mets have the tiebreaker. So
they
really,
do.
the Mets just have to not shit the bed and go 4 and 6. They need at least 500 or better, and they're pretty much going
I'd
to be
say 6 and
guaranteed a
4.
wild card spot.
6 and 4, and you're guaranteed
with
to
the
be in, I feel
history
like.
of the Mets.
I know.
With the history of the Mets, Timmy, if you're in the chat, I would love for you to chime in. What do you feel in your heart of hearts is really going to happen here? Because I'm rooting for you. I think a lot of people are rooting for the Mets to make it. To be honest, it would make the town a little bit more exciting for a couple more weeks. It's kind of like when the Nets and the Knicks and the Rangers and when all these teams get in the playoffs, it's more exciting.
It
around
definitely
here.
is, absolutely.
No matter what, So I believe it or not, I'm going to root against myself in that tortilla slap, and I'm going to say because
Good.
It
Let's go. You need one. You
It
need
would
an
be more
L.
fun now. Again, I don't think the Mets go anywhere in the playoffs, but again, if they make it, good for them. But I don't think you're going in.
Dude,
I mean, like
they've
they
been
say,
the
you just
best
gotta get in the
team.
dance.
They've been,
gotta- listen,
they've been
you
the
gotta get
best
in.
team since Memorial Day. Let's go. Get in. Gotta get in.
I don't know if that's correct.
Since
pretty sure.
Since the end of May?
Yeah.
They're not the best team.
Since June 1st.
I think we.
That's
gotta fact check.
That's when they started to go around.
All
They're
right,
like
if
20.
there's a crack team of people out there listening that want to fact check, if there's I don't know.
I couldn't tell you for the life of me. So
Me
Well,
either.
that-
gun to my head.
in
I
my
don't know.
heart, that is true. I'll say that. How about that? Okay.
right. Well, listen, in my heart, I believe Isaiah Likely was in bounds in week 1. So,
Oh, my God.
I'm still going to die on that hill. It's what we do. What'd Timmy say? Anything?
Lindor for MVP. I think they actually are. Hold on. Yeah, he just said hold on. Would have imploded already. I can't really see the
Okay.
word that he said before that because the stupid emoji icon's there, so I can't see a couple words. That's okay.
First world problems, my friend.
I
First
think
world
they actually
problems.
could win the wild card game, be in the playoffs, and maybe they win the first round. I agree with Timmy. I think they could win the first round. I don't know if they go further than that.
I
but-
don't think they get out of the first round. To be honest, I would struggle to see them get out of the wild card. Although, did the wild card move to a 3-game series now instead of
that's what
just
I
a
heard.
solo game?
That's what I heard. Yes.
I believe
yes,
it moved to a
it
3-game
is.
instead of just a 1 game because 1 game was really weird especially for baseball. I mean, we're gonna get to football where it's once a week. That's it. But baseball, you never play a team once ever. throughout the season, unless it's a rain makeup that you have to make up because of scheduling, whatever. That's the only time you'll have a one-off game. And to me, it makes it, and you really wouldn't do that. Normally, you play a doubleheader the next day or something else.
Yeah.
It never made sense to me, the one-game playoff. So I'm actually kind of happy with the 3-game playoff. And I'm going to say this across sports. I preferred it when the first round was 5 games. I think it made the first round a little bit more exciting. I dislike the fact that every league, because I remember when I was a kid, basketball, first round, I feel like was 5 games.
Yep.
Hockey, first round was 5 games. Like, I feel like everything I know, it's all about the money. That's all everyone cares about. Now, football, they care about the money too. They just keep adding more games.
That's why they care about the money. And they keep adding more days of the week to play on so they can get, solo games.
Yeah, we're 2 for 2 this year with crappy Thursday night games. So, I mean.
Thursday night games always blow. Yeah. They always blow.
Because they tried to give you a good game, though. They gave you...
It's the first day that the guys actually feel okay from the Sunday game, and then they got to play a game.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens-Chiefs game was entertaining.
Get Thursday night out of my life, honestly. Yeah. I've never liked it. I've never liked Thursday night football. The product is awful.
It's usually not good. I mean, that Bills-Miami game last week, and I mean,
what happened? You think that should be a good game, division game, but the real problem is
they don't have enough time to heal.
Not even enough time to heal. They don't. Again, we kind of talked about this pre-show. I'm going to talk about it here. I think the problem is that these teams that we all know are good and have talent don't get going for the first few weeks because none of these guys play in the preseason anymore. And if you look at the teams that are playing well so far, they play in the preseason. The preseason matters. Like, I know people want to write it off and, we don't want guys to get hurt and this and that. But there is a value to going out there and having real game experience with guys, and not just in and not just in practice, not just in scrimmages, with other teams. You need that in-game actual practice. And they're not getting it anymore. But you look at some of the guys that are. You look at Derek Carr. You look at Darnold. You look at other guys that played in the preseason. They're starting off really well. All the guys that didn't play in the preseason, your Lamar Jacksons and whatever, they're all starting off pretty mediocre to start the year.
Yeah, majority of the quarterbacks are. You're right on that.
Majority of the quarterbacks because they didn't play. Aaron Rodgers
scoring is
didn't
down
play.
Big time this year. I
Everything
know that.
is.
2 weeks.
But again, how can you be expected to play at a high level when you don't have that continuity with your team yet? The whole point of the preseason, and guys think, I throw with them in the offseason, and we get together in the offseason. That shit doesn't matter. When you're in the backyard throwing a football around, being like, we got this timing thing. That's not the same. Playing on your high school field, throwing the ball around with a bunch of high school kids is not the same.
You don't have Max Crosby coming after you.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have... It's just not the real world experience you need, and now guys aren't getting that until week 3, week 4, week 5 of the season, and that's when these good teams will start to roll. But until then, I don't know. To me, it really bothers me too with a guy like Bryce Young. Like, they're already benching his ass, and I'm like, God, you traded the world to get him.
Oh God.
You traded so much to get him. DJ Moore, pretty much Caleb Williams, a bunch of other people in picks too, and
a corner, an offensive lineman, both
and you
of
got
which
nothing. And now you're going to bench this guy 1 year and 2 games in, when he's got a new offense, new coach, new whatever.
Oh yeah, he's 2 coaches in.
They
traded away McCaffrey.
You want to be technical.
They traded away, like you said, DJ Moore. They traded away Brian Burns. All guys that were 26 years old or younger, all in the prime of their careers, all in a position to be able to make a difference. Like Bryce Young having Christian McCaffrey, I guarantee you his first season and his career the start to his career goes differently. I mean,
100%.
You put Christian McCaffrey next to basically anybody, he's a great player. What do great players do? They make those around them better.
I think that I have to now add, because I always talk about the Bears and I always talk about the Browns.
Carolina Panthers.
I think the Carolina Panthers are going to get
Cam Newton.
Yeah, him, and I'll tell you what,
he wasn't a traditional quarterback.
And I'll give you one other guy that was more traditional.
Kerry Collins?
No.
Jake Delhomme,
because he took him to a Super Bowl.
Okay.
So, I mean, but those are the only 2 guys that are quarterbacks that really had success. They've never been able to really build this success, though, because Jake Delhomme was a flash in the pan. Cam Newton technically was a flash in the pan. By the way, reports out
for
there...
like 10 years, I think.
I think I saw Schefter report earlier today any of you guys can fact check me if you want, but I'm pretty sure I saw him report today that Cam Newton was going to the Panthers to try out.
Hey, I don't blame him.
He was spotted in Miami. That's where.
Miami. I knew he was spotted somewhere.
He was spotted in Miami. Nobody knows whether he was there to just talk to some of the players that are on the team that he has a relationship with, or if he was there for a tryout, if he was there to talk to coaches, a general manager. Like, nobody knows why he was there, but he was apparently spotted in Miami. And I don't mean like downtown Miami. I mean at the Dolphins.
He's not partying.
Yeah, I mean the Dolphins facilities. But look, before we go down the rabbit hole, I want to get my slap over with. I posted on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat telling people you want to see me get slapped by a tortilla. Log in now.
I think Timmy's all about this.
I think it's only appropriate.
I'm being a baby, and I want it at the end.
A good spot. I think you just kind of got to turn my way. I mean, not that I'm happy about it. Do you want to pick your tortilla? I mean, I can.
No, I'm good. You could select it.
So, folks,
we're just going with the top.
We have a bunch of tortilla bets going on. This is a fantasy tortilla bet. Every time we play each other, the winner gets to slap the loser.
And don't worry, Joy, I'll use a new tortilla for you. So we'll make sure that everything is.
No, you want that because
clean
it stretches a little
sanitized.
bit. The one time you went to do it, this is my third time being slapped. So
You're
I know you got
veteran.
3 in the chamber, but this is third. I'm already walking in those shoes, baby. But the one time he did it, it ripped. So like all of a sudden his fist just boom. No, it didn't touch me. I will give Eric that. He's very considerate.
I'm very conservative because I don't actually want to hurt anybody. The goal here is not to hurt you.
You literally
embarrass you a little bit, but not hurt you. The goal is never
you just see Eric's hand with half a tortilla go flying by my face, and I'm just like.
Well, I don't know if you want to wait. Timmy said he'll be back in a minute. I don't know if you want to wait or just get it over with.
Well, I mean, I still got to line it up. So he's got like a minute. Depends on how long his minute is. He can always rewind, too, if he needs to.
Oh, that's valid, too.
And double check it. You know, that's the one beautiful thing about doing it here, which, by the way, if you want to see more of these tortilla slaps coming.
Oh, they're coming.
Like Dave said, Joey's got 3 in the chamber. And I'm sure I'm going to have one at some point coming down for me.
Because, I mean, this would be... It's got to get him at some point,
I'm
right?
6-0 so far. Not on wood, but
bro.
I'm 6-0 so far.
He's
so I'm going to...
Janice, I know you're down there listening for us. Like, do us a favor when we're gone. Just slap him with a tortilla for us. You're his wife.
She threatens violence on me all the time.
You're his wife. He can't get mad about it.
That would be awesome.
So yeah, we're
trying to find the right one because you want to make sure I get it at I want it on the oblong way so this way I have more room with the actual tortilla.
You gonna give me a backhand today?
Yeah. No.
The way you saw how he was lining that up, I thought a backhand was coming.
No, I don't have as much control on the backhand.
This is from week 1 of fantasy where Eric defeated Dave. And then I have one later today. We'll take the L from my week 1 of predicting where the Jets would beat the San Francisco 49ers. Here we go.
I'm happy to hear that, my friend. I'm really happy.
Dave, keep the mic right there so we can pick it up.
That's why I'm doing it.
Oh, wait, I'm going to have you just turn so slightly.
Here we go, everybody.
And then...
I have to close my eyes or I'll laugh.
Here we go. Oh! I'm not ready for this. I am not.
I mean, I hope the mic picked that up because I heard it. Like I heard it. I felt it a little bit.
Bro.
Very red. I mean, with the light, I don't think it can be seen.
A little bit.
Red. Oh wait, it's on the slope side. It's on the slope side. Oh man. So for our people that are listening to just the podcast right now, I reacted the way I reacted because I forget on my left, right, I had the live stream, right, watching things happen as they happen. On my right, I got the video delay that everybody sees on YouTube, right, while they're watching. So I got to just watch myself get slapped by a tortilla.
What did that tortilla say to the face?
Slap! So the fact that I got to actually watch that made that a little bit more enjoyable because there's not much to enjoy about that other than knowing there's some people out there that are going to get a good laugh.
I got 3 straight weeks of this coming.
But my
Joey's saving his
possibly
for the
four.
end of the show. I don't know why he chose that, but he chose the
Hey,
end.
I want
we're
the
spread. What we're trying to do, and just in all honesty, for those of you listening or watching, we want the views. I mean, that's what it is. We're spreading it out right now, and we want the views. So this way,
Yeah.
you know, and
Like, subscribe, follow, share, do all the free
all the
fun
very
They're
things.
easy
stuff.
things to do too. They don't take too long. They really
No.
don't.
If you're watching the live stream anyway while you're there, just hit the thumbs up button.
Thumbs up is it.
Thanks for telling me. I'll do that right now.
Click
Yeah, why not?
subscribe. I mean,
Boom.
Boom.
it's right there. And then there's a share button if you really want to get involved. Like if you really want to get involved, hit that share button. That, my friends, that's how we grow. Is that share button. So just keep that in mind. Feel free to do it. There's plenty more tortilla slaps to come. I got a B3.
Oh, wait, which was worse?
We got somebody new in there, Joey.
Yeah, we do.
Is that somebody we know? B3AT_BJ.
I hope so. But either way, which was worse for you this week, Dave? Was it that tortilla slap? Or was it the Cowboys getting their asses slapped by the Saints?
Yeah.
I mean, Derek Carr was, he was...
He looked like
clapping
Tom
some
Brady
cheeks,
in
yeah.
07
He was-
undefeated season. Like, I mean, he was like, what, 12?
That's what happens
12
when
or
you play in the
16?
preseason. That's what happens.
Like,
You play in the
bro.
preseason, you come into the season ready. How many games did Dak play in the preseason?
0. Dak didn't play in the preseason.
So, and then they come out and get their asses handed to them. I wonder why.
I mean,
Brandon
I gotta
Aubrey's
be
the
honest.
best offense right now.
When you look at how that game unfolded, it really boiled down to one simple thing: Dallas could not stop the run. That it really boiled down to that. Dallas scored on 4 of their first 5 possessions. Like Dallas offense was doing what they could, but the Saints literally just moved down the field like it was nothing. It was 14-3 in the blink of an eye. Like their defense could not stop the run. Their defensive linemen were not staying in their assignments. The linebackers were not attacking the gaps. Like there were just so many mistakes. And I watched this, or I follow this guy on Twitter, RJ Ochoa. He's a beat writer for the Cowboys. And after the game, whether they play well or they play bad, he posts all these clips from the offense and the defense. And he's serious, right? Like, hey, Dak missed this, or the defensive lineman did this. So I watched a couple of the videos, and you could just see, like, the defensive lineman just getting pushed back on basically every single play. If the offensive line for New Orleans had to shift them left or right, they were able to shift them left or right. So by being able to run the ball, I mean, out of Carr's, what do you have, 13 completions or something like that? Out of whatever completions he had, 11 of his completions were off of play action. So your defense is now playing on their heels. 16, or I'm sorry, so he's 11 of 16. So I believe, or 9 out of his 11 completions were play action plays, right? Like
2 touchdowns.
But you want to also talk about the worst part of this experience for me? I was also going against Kamara in fantasy, and that is the league where I lost by 1.22 points. So if Dallas keeps him out of the end zone just one of those 4 times, I win my game. But then again, like I said earlier, when you lose by 1.22, you can look at every single player on your team and say, if you just did this one thing, or you look at the team
you got 2 more yards for me.
Like that, I mean, it just is what it is. But again, Dallas was owned in this game, and I think it goes to your point about playing in the preseason. I also think it goes to the point where with a 17-game season, you can't really react the way you used to, even though it's one additional game. Right? When it was
soon to be 18 if the NFL has their way.
But when it was 16 games, right? Teams that started 0-2, only like 18% of them or something like that would even make the playoffs, right? It's up to, I think it's like 20-something% now since they switched to 17 games.
Houston did it last year.
Yeah, so like you can't look at the beginning of the year. Like I wasn't too high after the Cleveland win. Like I said to you guys last week, right? Deshaun Watson looked like he forgot how to play football, right? And then look at what they did this week against Jacksonville. Dallas gets spanked by New Orleans. They host an 0-2 Ravens team,
Nobody thought,
right?
oh,
Like
two
if
Baltimore.
Dallas won this game, I would hands down, no ifs, ands, or buts, guarantee you a loss against Baltimore this coming Sunday. But now you have a team that just got their asses whooped. You didn't have fun film study for the defense like they did against Cleveland. You had your defensive line coach, your linebackers coach, your secondary coaches, your defense coordinator, your head coach. You guys got torn apart all week long. So you have two teams coming in with a chip, right? Now it's going to be interesting. I think that's going to be a hard-fought game. When we get to pick them, I'm assuming that's probably going to be one of the games we pick, so I'll save that for when we get there. But that Dallas, to me, in this game, it broke down to can't run the damn ball. Couldn't stop the run.
Well, it's hard to run the ball, I feel like, when you're a running back by committee.
I agree.
Because I think you just can't. Running backs, to me, are people who need to get in a rhythm. They're a position that need to get in a rhythm. But that's the one thing you can also notice about a lot of these teams that have hot starts right now is they are the ones that are running the ball well. Alvin Kamara. I mean, you look at what he did: 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 TDs,
almost
just
6 yards, almost 6 yards a clip.
Yeah.
New Orleans averaged 5 yards a carry, basically. Dallas averaged 3. Right? If you get 5 yards a carry, that means every 2 times you run the ball, it's a first down. Every single time. When you average 3 yards a clip, guess what? You run it 3 times in a row, you're still 4th and 1. That's literally a huge difference maker for you. So
look at the Packers. Josh Jacobs, 32 carries, 151 yards.
Well, they didn't have a choice, though.
I know, but that's what happens. Jordan Love goes down. They start handing the ball off. Guess what? They could win a tight game against a young Colts team that a lot of people that expected to start well, too. They haven't started as well as some predicted because a lot of people have faith in Anthony Richardson. I'm one of those people. I think he could be good.
He has athleticism. He's not a quarterback. He's not. His accuracy effing blows. He doesn't make smart decisions. He didn't have enough pedigree in college.
Throw a rocket, though.
I'm not saying that he's not talented.
He has made some plays.
He's super athletic. He has a talented arm. He's not a quarterback yet. He needs to take a year to sit down, learn from Flacco, or learn from somebody to be a quarterback.
You know, it's crazy. I actually thought they won that game in week 1. Because, I mean, the way that some of the highlights that came out of that game from him were crazy. But, look, if you believe your guy is your guy, you put him out there. Let him learn on the fly. Like, let him learn. I mean, for my job, for instance, right? Like, we can't. I mean, it's sales, so you definitely can't bench people. You were hired to make money, right? Like, that's your freaking job. That's literally what you were hired for. So we have people on the phone within 2 days of taking the job. They have no idea what the hell they're talking about, but you learn on in the moment. And I mean,
it's the NFL now. They're nobody playing preseason. They're learning in the moment.
Man.
And the way they protect quarterbacks too, you're less worried about your guy having a serious career level ending injury.
Kind of like Tua this week.
Yeah, compared to going back to the 80s where you started a quarterback that you took number 1 overall, Lawrence Taylor might come around and tear his head off and you never see that guy again. So
still kind of like that.
You guys think Tua's done? Because I don't. I personally think knowing him, hearing the things that Saban, hearing the other things that people have said, hearing things Tua said himself, I don't think he's done. But I don't know how you guys felt. But I had to ask that. Because I mean, listen, and granted, should he have slid? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's all he should be doing.
But it's
supposedly he's not comfortable sliding.
Look,
but like it's like what's less. But like I'd rather blow out my knee, especially for the quarterback position, right? I'd rather blow out my knee and miss the year than get multiple concussions and ruin my entire career, possibly ruin my entire life.
Didn't Aikman have like 8 of them?
Aikman, yeah. Oh, Aikman, he took, yeah. But yeah, he had guys like Reggie White and others.
And I think Steve Young retired too.
When Tua comes back, do you think he comes back with one of the new helmets?
That's what Timmy suggested. That maybe even the Dolphins in the league say to him, like, dude, you have to wear this. Like, this is no longer an exception. Because when you watch them play,
look like bobbleheads wearing
they
them.
They do. They look a little silly, but wouldn't you rather be safe, or at least a little safer?
Is it all in the name? But see, this is to me where again. All in the name of safety. So the NFL is going to come out with this new safety helmet that makes you look like a bobblehead, and it's going to promote safety. And I'll bet you, quarterbacks will start wearing it. But you know what? It's still not going to stop concussions.
No, it's not.
It's still not going to. It's You know,
but if it lowers the numbers, that's a good thing.
If it does, I don't know if it really will. I still think. And again, all it's going to make people do, in my opinion, is hit harder. Because guess what? When they were wearing leather helmets back in the day, you know, you wanted to hit somebody, but you also were worried about hurting yourself. Yeah. Nowadays, with the helmets and everything you got, you're flying around like a missile, like because you're not worried about it. Well, with those helmets now, you're making them even bigger and stronger. You're like, you know, now I'm. What are you, Juggernaut, going to be running through the line? I don't know what you do. A little comic book reference there, but I mean, I don't know what you do.
Yeah, I think. You know, those helmets, if they can help, then let's give them a shot, right? It's a player's choice, but they had them in the preseason for a couple years now, and the data did show that it lowered head injuries during the preseason. So, right, that doesn't guarantee you a great, you know, that's not a huge sample size, but it's still something, right? I think that, but when you watch that replay, I don't even know if the hit's what really caused the concussion. He runs into Hamlin, turns, falls onto his back, and then he slams the back of his head onto the grass. And when you watch his previous concussions, most of the time that's what happens. So like, I don't know if Dude Man has a soft spot on the back of his head, and it's more increases why he's so, you know, he's so open to getting concussions compared to other players in the league. It's crazy, or he just isn't strong enough to like, I don't know. I just feel like I feel bad to an extent. Right, but at the same time, like, you're making what, 40, 50 million dollars a year to play this game. So
I think he's 52 or 53.
You know what comes with the risk, or comes with the game, and the risk that's associated with it. But you just hate to see it happen to guys because of.
I think that's also part of the motivation of not walking away. That's generational money that, like, I don't know if you're walking away before that's up.
But I don't understand why the Dolphins would give him all that guaranteed money, knowing the concussion history that he's had.
That's literally what everybody talked about when they gave him the contract.
I don't get it because, bro, granted, he was healthy
because
last
the problem
year.
with the NFL is now if the Dolphins didn't give it to him, somebody was going to give it to him.
Yes, that's
the NFL we're in now. These guys are getting overvalued and overpaid, and because of it, a lot of teams out there. New England, whatever. A lot of teams out there would have jumped at the chance to sign Tua, even with knowing the history. He would have got that money from somebody else, and that's the problem. That's why I was saying with Dak.
You're probably right.
Dallas is holding out for what? If Dallas isn't going to give him the money, he's going to get the money from somebody else. That's why they had to get a deal done, because he was going to get paid. It's the way that this ladder system works, where every guy who's the next guy, even if the guy isn't that good, a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't yet proven himself in the league.
That's why he got paid.
He got paid. Every one of these guys gets paid now. That's what happens. If you drafted a guy and you think he's your guy, you pay him that league, whatever, you know, the next top dollar is. And it's a shitty way about going about business, in my opinion. And I think it's going to take a couple teams stopping doing that and being like, no, I'm not going to give you this money, knowing your injury risk, knowing this, knowing that. Some of these guys are, like I said, and I think it's going to happen in the QB position. I think it's going to happen in the wide receiver position, because eventually it's going to get oversaturated. And not everybody can make all that money.
Well,
it ain't going to happen in the QB, because Mahomes needs a new deal soon.
QB's not happening.
Mahomes is a guy, though, that's, even in his last deal, gave money back in the deal so that they could put money into the team. He doesn't care about being the highest paid guy. He's the rare exception on the list of guys. There aren't too many of them. He actually is giving money back to his team. He's taking the Tom Brady approach of things, where he's going to make his money. He knows he's going to make his money. He's winning championships, but he also knows he needs some people around him to keep winning those championships. So he's actually doing.
But you also know the guaranteed money that you get at the beginning of the contract is the only money that matters on the player's side.
Yeah.
The salary cap is not impacted by the guaranteed money that they sign. It's their annual value, right? Like, that's what impacts it. That guaranteed money has nothing. Like, so yeah, Patrick Mahomes was willing to take less per year, but I'm pretty sure a couple of those bucks got rolled into his signing bonus.
I'm sure his whole entire contract is going to be guaranteed.
But that's the Tom Brady approach. That's what Tom Brady did for years and years.
Yeah, but like, I think
the GOAT never. I don't know if he was ever the top paid quarterback.
I don't think he ever was.
No, I don't think he ever was.
And again, the GOAT. People rank him. People say he's the guy. 7 championships. He's got to be there.
You take discounts to keep your team together, and because the quarterback position eats up so much of the salary cap, it's so smart to do that. I don't know why more people don't do that. That's why Mahomes and Reed have this window, and they're gonna take advantage of it until
That's why you
Reed
have
wants
to win when a
retire.
quarterback's on his rookie deal. You have to.
You
almost
have to be
because
aggressive with your. You have to be
It's the
aggressive
only
with your
time you
roster.
can really invest in the other positions on the team.
Yeah, but like
5-year window
Minnesota
to
right
invest in
now,
everybody
let's
else.
just say Sam Darnold this year has a good season. He's not going to get paid $60 million. I think you can win too. With,
but he's a career
refurbished quarterback.
He's already careers gone.
But you guys are right, because that's the only way you can invest in other positions and be very deep at other positions is because you're not paying a certain somebody 25-30% of your salary cap.
Exactly. But now you're watching wide receivers eat so much of that up too. So I'm telling you, with
I
the
wonder if
amount
Jamar
of talent
Chase is going to
coming
ask
out,
for $40 million a year.
that's what I mean.
wonder.
It's got to be something because he came out saying, "I don't want a penny more. I want to blow his deal out." That's literally what Jamar Chase said. So if you want to blow out the deal Justin Jefferson got, it's got to be $38-40 million a year, and I just don't see how you pay a wide receiver who only touches the ball at max 10, 12 on an unbelievable day,
Still a really
15
good time,
times
though.
a day.
Well, yeah, I think the record for most receptions in a game
20.
is like 21, 22.
Yeah. So again, you could give that to a running back and get 30 carries in a game. Like a quarterback touches the ball 60 or 70 times in a game. I understand a little bit more of the value on quarterbacks, but receivers are just going to get so saturated, so heavy, and I think you're starting to see it. But again, some of these teams, starting slow. Jamar Chase, another guy, holding out.
Cincinnati,
Contract.
0-2.
Slow start to the year for them
Higgins
and
hurt.
Cincinnati. Hurt. These guys.
I was thinking about your point when we were talking we've talked on it numerous times about wide receivers getting paid as much as they are, and how the running back position got devalued. So I was thinking about this, and they've talked about it a lot in the first 2 weeks. How much teams are now playing too high safety, and they're playing a strategy of making teams, hey, you got to work your way down the field, right? Like we're gonna avoid the big plays. We're not gonna let quarterbacks throw for over 300 yards, right? Like the average yards per game for a quarterback right now, I think, is still below 200 yards a game, right? Or it's like right at about 200 yards per game, which then nullifies your wide receivers, brings more value back to your running backs. So you want to talk about a full circle experience. You're going to start seeing a devalue in how much a quarterback and a wide receiver are used, and an increase in the value of how much a running back is used. And you start seeing that market
Flip a little bit.
Flip itself back a little bit.
Interesting.
I thought, like, I'm thinking in my head after these first 2 weeks, I'm like, holy crap! Like maybe that's what happened. Like
maybe.
And like, I mean, for all think about it, right? All the crap we've learned. I mean, hell, think of the news that came out about freaking Puff Daddy in the last 24, 48 hours, right?
P. Diddler.
Like. Think about that, right? Like so how do we know that you don't have GMs right now talking to the head coaches and say, hey, if you want to keep your job and I want to keep my job, we need to run the ball more. We need to pass it less. Or looking at defense coordinators and be like, you need to give up more on the run than give up as much as you give on the back. Like, I'm not saying that's happening, but could you imagine? Like, that's the type of crazy shit that we're learning that's actually taking place in the back of the world. Give me my tinfoil hat.
I can see a conspiracy in the league where they're like, yo, the wide receiver markets are getting out of control. Run the ball more.
And don't play the pass more. Like,
no, but that's the difference is to go to that point, less than a conspiracy, but more of just the flow of the game. If you think about it, if colleges become more of a pass-heavy offense, well, guess what? Then defenses start having to scheme more for passing teams. The more they scheme for the passing, the more teams will want to run the ball to offset those defenses. So of course, more wide receiver, it's going to flow that way, and then it's going to come back the other way because eventually defenses are going to figure out how to stop these receivers, how to get to the quarterback, how to do things differently. And once they do and they figure those things out, the teams that can run the ball are already going to be ahead of the game when it comes to the next evolution of the game because, again, football's evolved so much from, like we were talking about before with the leather helmets to where we are now. Yeah. It's practically a different sport. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I guarantee you some of the guys, I'm sure some of them are still with us, but some of the guys that first ever played football, they probably look at this game now like they probably don't even recognize it. I mean, back then, like throwing the ball, your quarterback maybe threw the ball like 7 to 10 times in a game. Like all they did was run the ball. I mean, you had the power I formation. You had the two running back.
Was it 70s we're talking? Sorry, I was talking.
Oh no,
about.
this is like 30s,
no matter
40s, 50s.
Oh my
yeah.
god! But like even in the 70s, right? I mean, one of the most famous Steelers is Franco Harris. Now I understand it's from the immaculate reception, right? Like I understand that's part of the reason. But he was an integral part of what they did. Think of some of the biggest names from back in the day, right? Jim Brown, Walter Payton. Like your biggest names were running backs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were going number 1 overall.
Right? Like I mean, when you look at the late,
I feel like it was like the
90s
that it started to change, and you had guys like Randy Moss
like
come
2000s,
in. Like I feel like that's. But I'm saying like 98 was like Randy Moss came in the league. I think like 97 or 98, like right around there.
It started with Brett Favre. Believe it or not, to me, that's where it started.
So mid-90s,
mid-90s, and then you got The Greatest Show on Turf, and it took off.
And that was in the 2000s, early 2000s.
Yep. Yeah, once
and
you
then
99,
yeah. But it's because teams learned how to stop the run, and then once they stopped the run, teams evolved to the pass. Before that, I mean, really, the only guy slinging it around, the guy who had all the records but no Super Bowls was Marino.
I think the rules changed. That's really what it is, because the league wanted more offense, and certain teams were taking advantage of it, and other teams weren't. Like in today's NFL.
Well, yeah, but in today's NFL, it's easier than ever to throw the ball.
So much easier.
You can't hit a guy the way you could before coming over the middle.
Can't.
Guys before, it was a scary thing playing the slot receiver. You used to
tell a wide receiver, ask a wide receiver what it was like going across the middle when Ronnie Lott was playing.
Oh, back in the 80s? Oh, my God.
Ask one of those wide receivers.
70s and 80s,
they did not want to deal with that.
Fear is what those men had. There's no fear anymore because you know what? That's a penalty. That's a suspension. That's a fine.
Fear, but
you can't do that anymore. So now those guys come across the middle with no fear. Those guys come, the good ones anyway.
Those guys, what guys fear now is the low shots, right?
Yeah.
Especially like
to take out their knees or their ankles. Because as long as they can run and catch, that's all they need to do.
They don't care about
the game has evolved and the rules have evolved exactly to make offense more explosive. But they've done it for running backs too. But even it actually hurt running backs. And I think that's one of the reasons it devalued running backs is because with the concussion rule thing, all the nonsense the NFL tries to do where they say they're about player safety. The stupidest one to me is when
money at the end of the day.
When they changed the rule for running backs where they can't
lower their head.
They can't lower their head at all.
Yeah, it's so silly.
Pacheco got fined for that.
But you think about it. I mean, I remember Jerome Bettis,
the bus,
barreling through people.
Oh yeah. Lowering that head and going.
Well, I remember there were very few people who ran upright. I mean, the only one I can think of off the top of my head from back in our day where that ran upright was Eddie George. That was any good.
Oh, Eddie George.
Eddie George ran upright. He was the only one I can remember that did that. But other than that, every running back at some point would lower their head to try to get through a hole.
Emmitt Smith
would do different
was well
things.
known for it.
Now you can't do that. So guess what? It takes those plays away from the running back because now they're not able to make the same contact they were before. They're more upright. They're getting.
You know what's also crazy too?
Those things that have devalued it.
The pads are completely different. From when you're talking about those running backs, they had big, heavy pads, and they were able to absorb the hit better or something. Now they got these dinky little pads where they're all about speed and athleticism. That's it. I also think that has something to do with it, too.
It might.
With getting people hurt. Because it's more like they want you to be a track meet than anything else.
The hurt goes back full circle to what we were talking about with the preseason. Because you can't just step into a regular season game and expect to be at 100% full speed, ready to go. That's how you get hurt. It's like stretching. You have to stretch. You have to do certain things. If you don't stretch, you're more likely to pull muscles. You're more likely. It's the same type of preparation. If you don't get out there and have that preparation on the field, then what the hell are you doing?
Your body's not ready for it.
You're not, and I'm sorry. That I think that's a big reason on why these guys are getting hurt because they're stepping in and against a team that is practicing their guys and are playing in the preseason. When they're coming at you 100%, there's more likely you're going to get hurt because you're not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
It's a wake-up call.
So I think it ties all back.
Real quick, too. I know you and Fife. I don't know necessarily about Dave because I honestly forget his opinion. My bad. But the Caleb Williams hype trains.
Where you're at in the pecking order.
No, the Caleb Williams hype trains. I just remember you and Fife saying he's going to suck. He's not going to be good. Through 2 games, I honestly think the Bears should have either one, not drafted Roma Dunze and given him Fashanu to shore up the line. Because any good quarterback needs a line. Or maybe they should have just traded the number 1 pick, kept Fields, and just kept
Fields
improving
actually
the team.
hasn't looked bad.
Because Caleb Williams, as the number 1 pick, looks like garbage through 2 games. He looks like absolute garbage. And you're right, the Bears, it's 2 games. I shouldn't overreact, but we're going to overreact because we're only here for 1 week, once a week. And absolute garbage. They cannot produce a quarterback, it seems like. And I think you and Fife are 100% right.
They can't. And again, I'm putting Carolina in there with the Browns and the Bears. You look at it. Justin Fields gets out from the Bears. 11-17, 1 touchdown, leads his team
13-20.
now 2-0 on the season.
13-20.
But I'm just saying, so
117 yards.
Yeah, not a lot, but
not
they didn't
11 to
ask a
17.
lot.
No, but he's right now he's playing exactly what the way Mike Tomlin wants him to play.
Exactly.
Tomlin does not give a shit about style points. He does not care about impressing people on TV. Tomlin says, when it's all said and done, if we walk out of here a win, I'm a happy man, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's
guess
all
what?
he cares
Justin
about.
Fields has a little bit of talent. That's all he needs. That's all Mike Tomlin needs. Because if you're put in the right position with the right teams, good things happen. I look at it as the same with Baker. You look at it. Where'd Baker go? He went from the Browns. He went to Carolina. And then he went to Tampa. Well, guess what? We know the Browns can't develop anybody. We've already talked about how Carolina's going to add to that list and not be able to develop anybody. Well, now that he's with Tampa, he's having a freaking resurgence.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely
what he's
is.
able to do right now, he's got good receivers around him. He's got good. Listen, I think that their head coach, help me with
Todd Bowles?
yeah, Todd Bowles. I think he kind of got a raw deal in New York. I think they should have
definitely
gave him
did.
a little bit more time in New York. They didn't. He goes to Tampa, and now listen. I like what they're doing in Tampa.
Another franchise that can't develop a quarterback, New York.
Well, the Jets.
Yeah.
But that's
No,
I mean, you're saying they're
not
actually
wrong. Not wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're hoping that they fix it with certain guys. I mean, like Favre, when he came, what was he 8-3 that year when he was a starter?
Got hurt and then 8-8.
But that's what I mean. Like their
like,
best
hey,
quarterback
Cruz,
outside
99-yard touchdown.
They can't develop anybody.
Like
you're
Sanchez
100%
was the
right.
only quarterback to even come close to doing anything good, and it was a 2-year run, and then that was it.
And even
it
look at
fell
Sam
out.
Darnold now. Sam Darnold actually looking like
Geno
a quarterback. Geno
Geno.
Smith looking like a quarterback.
Yeah.
So
So the Jets got the picks right. They had the wrong coaching staff.
no, they have
to
the wrong
get it-
front office. It
get
goes
it out
deeper
of
than
the
that.
guy.
It goes all.
It's systemic because these teams can't get out from their own way. You think about all the quarterbacks the Browns have drafted over the years.
Yep.
Any of them
You're
turned
not
out.
wrong.
You know
You're
what I
not
mean?
wrong.
Like, so I really feel like it's an organizational thing more than it's even coaching or GM. It's something wrong with the organization at like a owner level that they can't ever get that position right. Whatever
So
it is,
weird.
if there's some inkling they have, they should start going with the opposite. Because it's just like, if you think Caleb Williams is the guy, you should have drafted Jaden Daniels. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Because whatever these teams do, they can't get it right. But Fields having a bit of a resurgence now. I mean, you know, and that being the
They're
fact
just
that
telling
Wilson
them, don't
went
make
down.
mistakes. We
I gotta
got
be
a
honest.
championship defense.
Were you
good
telling
run
us
game.
before the season that you thought Fields would end up being the starter during, you know, like 7 or 8 games in? Like you thought he would end up being the guy. He may end up being the guy because I don't know if you need to ask much more out of him.
agree.
Why would you bother to bring in Russell Wilson when you're winning games, even though they're close, even though you're not scoring and blowing anybody out? You're winning. You're playing tough defense. You're running the ball, and guess what? That's Steeler football. It's the same with the Bears. The Bears, Walter Payton, Gale Sayers, like they have unbelievable running backs.
Thomas
They've-
Jones.
but Butkus and Singletary and unbelievable defenses.
Urlacher,
Matt Forte.
Briggs, Matt Forte.
Get back to running the football
Lance Briggs
and playing
and Urlacher
defense.
were dominant.
That
Such a
is what
combo.
the Bears do well. And when they do it well, they end up like the 85
Yep.
Bears. They end up like, what was it, the 2006 Bears or 5
Yeah, I
Bears.
mean they made the
You-
Super Bowl
the
with Rex
Rex
Grossman
Grossman.
as their quarterback.
Exactly, but they did it because they did it with their fundamental values of defense and running the football.
Yeah.
That's what that team should always do. Don't go away from what has brought your team success.
Is this true? Hold on. Do we have breaking news?
Hold on, wait, do we? Hold on, wait.
Tim put Giants trade for Russ.
Knuckleheaded.
So I don't know if that's real or not, or if he wants Russell Wilson to the Giants. But
that would be some knuckleheaded news of the week because there's no way they could trade for him. If they're trading for
I'm
anybody,
guessing that's just him being fun.
if they are
that would be
trading
up
for
there.
anybody, it should be Bryce Young. And it should be giving Dable a year and a half with Bryce Young to see what he can do.
That's interesting.
And that's what you do because guess what? In a year and a half, if it doesn't work, Arch Manning 2026.
Hey, he looked great for Texas. He really did.
Oh, unbelievable.
This week, he looked good.
And listen,
looked
he was
good.
the first Manning with some legs. Everybody was praising his legs. He's a Manning with legs. Can you imagine what a Manning with legs can do in the NFL?
Yeah, seriously.
And with a franchise that he's already had, Giants, we've already had success with
Timmy
the Mannings.
said, "Nah, he was just, it's not true."
I was gonna say, I'm
not true.
just like scrolling through. I'm not seeing anything.
I was going to say that would be awful. That would have been the knuckleheaded news of the week because that would have been the worst thing the Giants could have done. Speaking of the Giants, though, I guess we'll bring it up now. I was going to wait to see if we can get Fife on. It might look like he's a bit tied up tonight, so he might not be joining us. But I got to mention it while we're talking football. Eli Manning nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mean, you guys know how I feel. I call it the Hall of the Very Good. So
That's why he's getting in.
But he. Again, two
that's
Super
why
Bowls.
he's getting in. That's why
Two
he's
Super Bowls and two Super Bowl
That's,
MVPs is
that's
why
why he's getting in as a first ballot Hall of Fame.
And he's also,
he deserves to be in there, but
and he
that's
is
why he's got-
up
that's why he's
until
going in
this
as a
year,
first
top 10
ballot
in
Hall of Fame.
yards.
I'm with you.
Top 10 in games. I mean, he's what, number 2 or 3 all time in record for games started in a row. Like he's unbelievable.
Until they pulled him for Geno's.
Yeah,
that was the most
that was
disrespectful
an embarrassment
thing.
and probably a low of the franchise.
Yeah,
honestly.
that was the most disrespectful thing that they.
Yeah,
That was.
I'm
just,
happy to see the man getting some respect. There's no time that any time a guy is a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time Super Bowl champion should be left off out of the Hall of Fame, or even kicked down and not a first ballot guy just because he's a New York guy and I don't like the Giants.
That's literally not why. He's a 500 quarterback in the regular season.
He's led the league more times in interceptions than touchdowns.
By the way, have you seen? If I'm not mistaken, I believe he
That's
has
why.
a playoff record for yards. I believe he in single playoffs. I believe he has a playoff record. Some other playoff records as well. So it's not just about the regular season. Because again, you could have guys like Tony Romo and Dak who are amazing in the regular season, but have they won you any Super Bowls? Are they going to the Hall of Fame?
I mean, combined.
Are they going to the Hall of Very Good? I don't know.
Maybe.
Combined, I think
Maybe.
they're 4-11 in the playoffs. So no, they don't win playoff games.
Yeah,
but
so-
I appreciate the reminder.
But I'm just saying. So you want to just say that he was a 500 quarterback? He's a Hall of Famer. He's a first
He's
ballot
an
Hall of
awesome
Famer,
best game
and he deserved.
big game quarterback. I actually might
One of
take
the
Eli
top 5.
over Peyton for a big game quarterback.
He's right up there. I mean, listen, he beat the GOAT twice.
Look, I've said
And
this.
once when the GOAT was undefeated going in. 18-1 Giant loss, baby.
I have said this for years. I will take Peyton Manning over Eli in the regular season every day, all day. But if I'm trying to make a playoff run, I'm taking Eli. I mean, Peyton had that Denver run and that 1 year in Indianapolis. Both years, he had a top 10 defense and a really good running game. So, I mean, but then again, so did Eli Manning. But Eli Manning
had an
stepped
awesome
up
running game.
and some of the throws he made in the playoffs is especially in the Super Bowl, deserve nothing but respect. They really do. And I'll never take that away from him. I just don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Fame.
Anybody in the chat got anything on this?
Just Tim, he's just saying that Eli won when it mattered, Dave, and he put a dagger into Dave's heart.
Dave will see a Super Bowl again, when he finds the VHS tapes and plugs in the VCR.
Dallas won't see a Super Bowl until Jerry Jones and his son are gone.
You think they're cursed like that?
We'll see.
You think it's
No,
a curse?
I don't think it's
curse
a
of the
curse.
Jerry
I
Jones?
think it's stupidity.
It could
There's
be.
a difference.
He's more or less. I feel like he just wants you to talk about the Cowboys all the time.
Yeah, he's a
Well, he
promoter.
does, yeah.
He's an
not
awesome,
a general. He's not
awesome promoter.
He's not a general manager. He's a promoter.
He's a business guy,
and he realizes a Super Bowl is not going to increase the income that he brings in enough to justify doing what needs to be done to get this team over the hump. So, yeah. But anywho, that was a little look. The only other thought I had from this past week's games was it was wonderful watching Atlanta beat Philly in Philly, and it definitely made it an easier pill to swallow after what I watched on Sunday. I just really wish Jalen Hurts ran for 20 or 15 less yards, really 13, and I would have won. So other than that, that was a really great feeling. That was a wonderful experience, and I'm very, very happy that I got to watch that happen. And it's crazy to think that the entire NFC East is 1-1. The Giants are 0-2, and the Washington Commanders right now are in first place in the NFC East. So if you want to talk about not overreacting about 2 weeks,
you guys are 1-1.
that right there is why you do not overreact to 2 weeks worth of football. The Commanders are not the best team in the division, and when the season's over, we'll all see that to be true.
No, it's funny. You almost called them the red name. I keep calling the Chargers San Diego.
Oh, I
always want to call them San Diego.
The Raiders, Vegas is hard to remember. It is what it is. At some point, my brain will adjust, but we're not far enough into it for it to truly grasp that. But Eric, it looks like you have some week 3 action pulled up.
Yeah, well, I figure we gotta get moving on to the next week. We BS enough about last week. Which, by the way, the only thing I want to bring up about last week, first thing through these last 2 weeks, is I put it in the title too. What are you guys thinking about the kickoff? Because it's brutal. To me, why have the kickoff anymore? Abolish the kickoff. What is the point? We're just the stupid landing zone, the nonsense. I'm over it. Just abolish it. Everybody starts on the 25. If you get somebody scores a touchdown, somebody kicks a field goal, the other team goes and starts on the 25. That's what you do. Done. You want to move overtime to college rules and just start from the 25? Play overtime that way? I'm cool with that too. Just make it uniform. To me, it's a little bit more exciting. That's about the only rule change I want to see. Other than that, either leave the damn kickoff alone, or because this in the name of safety nonsense that nothing stops the Shield. They care about money more than anything, and what keeps making them more money is essentially keeping their players healthy. But they really want to get rid of the kickoff, but without getting rid of the kickoff because they feel like they're going to upset fans if they get rid of it. I'm telling you, I promise you, the actual fan of the game won't give 2 shits about the kickoff. Get rid of it. If you don't need it, get rid of it. Yeah, it's explosive sometimes when you get a Devin Hester or somebody like that that's explosive, and I mean like a joystick, and they're bouncing and they could score. Right now in the NFL, I couldn't tell you one return man's name. I couldn't tell you who returned for any team, including the Giants right now. And I'm telling you that because the return game doesn't matter. You want to have a punt return, keep punts in the game, keep a punter.
Gotta keep punts in the game.
You gotta keep field goals in the game, I get that. Abolish the kickoff. What do you guys think?
I'm not arguing with you on that. I hate to say it, I don't care one way or another, if I'm being honest. I used to really like the kickoff. There used to be excitement with it. I actually don't care.
The guy kicked it from the 20.
Correct. That's what they need to do. Kick it back at the 20 and let there be action. Because every single team...
The hits are too hard. People are colliding too fast.
Dude, they kind of did suck. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I hated going out for kick return because they had like 15 yards running down at you, and it sucked. This is a little bit safer. But Dave's right. They can't kick it from where they're kicking it because every single kicker could just kick it out of the end zone.
Yep.
Some of these kickers are so good they could hit the goalpost. If they wanted to. Like, they just aim for the goalpost. And
they're kicking from what, the 30 or the 35?
So they got to move it back to the 20. Yeah. They got to move it back to the 20 if they want action to happen.
They don't want action, but that's the problem is because they think that's where the concussions, that's where they think more injuries are coming from.
100% right. Get rid of it. Everyone starts at the 20 or the 25, and let's just rock and roll, bro.
I like starting at the 20 better. To be honest with you, you should have to go most of the length of the field.
And more fantasy points.
Yeah.
Again.
No more fantasy points. My team got destroyed this week.
But there's a way that the NFL could do it where they could still, again, if they do that, it would still appease fans. But at the same time, we just wouldn't have to sit through the semantics of the kickoff now, which is just absolute garbage.
No, you're not wrong. But when we were growing up, there was actually some meaning behind it. We grew up with Devin Hester. I remember there was a Brian Westbrook. Is that his name? No,
Even Timmy says in the chat that he agrees that it's not
Mitchell.
going like it should. Like the NFL, I don't think is happy with it.
I mean,
I'm with you on that.
I'll say this: I don't even notice. Because to
Antoine
me, it's basically
Randall.
just like it was last year. At 90 or right now that because they right now like some of the guys I follow on Twitter like they're tracking like the metrics and like
It's
Teams
not
don't
making
want
it.
to do it.
I think like 27% of kickoffs end up in, or 27% of kickoffs end up returned. Last year before the change, it was 29%.
Teams would rather you go 70 yards instead of, hey, there's an opportunity for you to bust one out here.
I personally have enjoyed watching Dallas's kicker though because he's just toying
Aubrey
with it.
kills it, bro.
Because if it lands in the landing zone and then rolls out of the end zone for a
on the
touchback,
20, right?
they start on the 20. If they catch it in the end zone and take a touchback, it's the 30. If they do that, right? Like, so like, he's like, it's actually like,
Yeah,
I'm
if
actually
you do the
intrigued to
hokey
see
pokey
how,
and-
I'm intrigued to see how
Turn
he
yourself
does it,
around.
but overall, I literally don't notice anything at all.
That's
It's
what
the
it's all about.
kickoff. To me, it's just like, all right, we're gonna go to a commercial break after this play. That's what
I wonder.
kickoffs are.
But
to me. It's
really,
commercial
go
break.
to the commercial break and just come back with the
Come back
offense
at
on the
20.
field.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And if there's a nice return,
I'm with
play it
you.
on a delay. Like, I mean, shit.
Yeah.
There are workarounds, and I agree, but like,
So, but I had to get you guys' thought on that. I
No,
know we want to move
I'm-
on to
I'm not with
talking
you. I'm
some
not-
week 3 as well, but yeah,
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
so where do we start? Though?
I think you got to start with this Thursday night game. It's the first of many primetime games for, or no, not even the first, the second of many primetime games for the Jets. They have, I think, 8 games in primetime this year.
6.
Or something like that. Yeah, it's something silly. And they get the Patriots, who are actually playing decent. You know, they were in it this week against Seattle. Seattle had to come back to win that game, if I'm not mistaken. So they're actually not doing awful. So I don't know. I look at the Jets, though. The Jets just aren't humming on all cylinders yet. To be honest, Allen is doing better than Hall.
He looks great.
He looks way better than Hall looks right now. Again, I don't know if that's
wonder
because
who
he
played
played
in
in the
preseason.
preseason and who didn't. But he's actually the guy who is, to me, been the better of the backs. Was last week anyway. Scored 2 touchdowns,
Yeah,
one
scored-
through the air, one on the ground.
Yep.
It seemed like Aaron Rodgers was trying to get Garrett Wilson the ball more, but get him the ball more. Stop no more Alan Lazard. I don't know what his fascination is. You got Mike Williams, who at least made an appearance, and you have Garrett Wilson. You have better options than Lazard.
I think as
but
the
he
season
is-
goes on,
it's
Lazard's
like
going
his
to have less
safety
and less of a
blanket,
role.
and I'm sorry, he's just not. He's not leading the charge here. So the Jet defense hasn't really looked up to par. So again, I look at it. A lot of them didn't play preseason.
That's why I didn't want to make that bet with you for the slaps. Until the second half, I was like, Jesus, Maron, this team is getting run all over on.
So I mean, I'm gonna start there. I think I'm gonna pick that game this week because even though we all may go the same way, I don't know if it's a slam dunk for the Jets at home.
with
This
you,
young
dude.
Patriots team may come in with a chip and
The
take
Jets-
it to them. I'm still gonna take the Jets at home, but I don't know. What do you think? What are you doing, Joey? Well, as the Jet fan of the group
Jet
here.
fan in me, I'm taking the Jets at home against the Patriots. But the Patriots do what the Jets are weak at. They run the ball. Last week, I think Antonio Gibson had 90-something yards, and I think so did Stevenson.
Stevenson's got 201 and 2 TDs on the year so far, so averaging pretty much 100 and what on
And that-
46 carries, 48 carries. So I mean, they're toting the rock for sure. And listen,
They just lost Tremaine Johnson. That's one of their big pass rushers. They're still without Reddick. I'm really worried. And this is the 3rd straight week that they're playing on a short week. They played Monday Night Football.
Yep.
I know technically that's on a short week, but they flew 3,000 miles. So Sunday they traveled to Tennessee on a short week, and now they're playing a short week against the Patriots. I don't like it. I don't like it. I feel like it's kind of set up for them to lose, just because 2 straight weeks of shortness. I don't love it, but I'm going to take them at home. I think Braylon Allen, they need to stick with Braylon Allen and Breece Hall. Just run it down people's throats and just hit people occasionally with Rodgers. Rodgers showing his age that he's a little slow. He can't really. He's not as mobile anymore with the Achilles injury. So got to run the ball like 30 times. 20-10. Let's go.
What you got, Dave?
I don't know. I mean, how do you can't add anything to what Joey just said. So just give me the Patriots.
Damn it.
Wow. I'm a lone guy. Now, I'm going to text these to Fife, too, so he knows which games. Now, by the way, did you guys do the pick 'em? I know you did. I did it. Jump in there. It's really easy to do, and you just pick the games, and then this way, you know.
Is it more money?
No, it's zero money.
Oh, okay.
It's free.
All right.
It's free, being there's just the four of us in it, so it's like.
Okay. I can do that.
Yeah. So,
All right, cool. Yeah. But
anyway,
yeah, give me the
so
Pats.
you got-
I mean, you really can't add anything
two with
beyond
the
what
Pats.
Joey.
I'm taking the Jets. And
No, he took the Jets.
oh,
I took the Jets 2010.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
2010.
I thought he took the.
No.
Oh, because you said I couldn't say it any better. I'm taking the Pats. I'm like, wait, did Joey just
I'm
take
the
the
lone
Pats?
guy, but I will also say I'm
can't
not
take the
dying on the
Pats.
hill. I'm just not. I'm
can't
not
do
dying
that.
on the hill.
All right. So who's next? Who wants to go next?
My phone won't connect to any internet, so why don't you go and then you pick a game and then he can scroll through here.
Well, then the game I'm going to pick is the San Diego.
There you go.
The LA Chargers.
San Diego
and the Pittsburgh
Superchargers.
Two
Matchup,
2-0 teams.
2-0 teams. Two teams that want to play the same style of football.
Yes, they do. That's exactly why I picked it.
I see what you're doing there.
So I'm going right away. My initial feeling is I'm going to take the Chargers because I think Herbert's a little bit better of a quarterback than Justin Fields. But I would like to know something about this game because the Chargers just played East Coast this week. So I just wonder, did they go back home?
Yes.
Damn. I'm taking Pittsburgh then. I'm changing things. I'm taking Pittsburgh. Going back-to-back East Coast games. That's tough. That's going to be a lot of miles on the body. So I'm going Pittsburgh 13-10.
That's probably going to be
Looks
an
like
ugly
Pitt
game.
1.5 favorites. So the game's going to be close, as is according to Vegas. Oof.
So now I got to change
This is a tough game to pick. I got to be honest because this is a good game, Joey. Good game.
This is a good game.
I mean, I can go. If
Go
you need
for
a
it.
minute
Go
to
for it.
think
So,
about
I'm thinking it through my head because I'm looking at it. Both run the ball really well. J.K. Dobbins has been phenomenal to start the year.
Both
Pittsburgh
defenses
at
are playing
home.
really good.
Both defenses playing well. I want to see where you're going with it. So, Joey, who'd you take again?
I initially took the Chargers, and then
switched it
once
to
I
Pittsburgh.
found out they flew back, I switched it to Pittsburgh, yes.
So I'm actually going to take the Chargers. And the reason for it is that when you watch these two teams through the first 2 weeks and you look at the NFL as a whole, the hardest thing that's been to come by so far this season for all teams has been big plays. The Chargers have more big plays than most teams in the league. Their offensive lineman has 3 of the top 10 PFF ranked offensive linemen through 2 weeks. Herbert's better than Fields. So I'm gonna take the Chargers with the road win in Pittsburgh. And I hope they wear their powder blues because I love those.
That'd be
uniforms.
awesome.
See, I'm not a
love the
Harbaugh
Powder
fan,
Blues.
and I like Tomlin. So to me, that puts something in the category for the Steelers. Everything else telling me to go Chargers right now. Like, I feel like they are probably the best running offense right now in the league.
I agree.
Rushing offense.
It was smart that they went Joe Alt as their first pick because they're just dominating the line right now.
Yeah. I think Harbaugh in his first year is catching a little bit of lightning in a bottle. And I think it's going to continue this week. I'm going to take the Chargers on the road against the Steelers, but I'm not confident. I wouldn't die on that hill.
No, I don't think
It's going to be. I think it's going to be a 3-point game. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be close. It's gonna
Exactly
be a
like
field
you
goal.
said, man. These are two teams that play the exact same way. I think it's going to be a very tight game. So
I just look at
Give
it
me
and
the
I'm
home
like,
team.
well, so at that point, I look at it and I'm going to go down to the quarterback. And to me, that's the only reason I'm giving it to the Chargers. Even though Herbert's a little bit banged up, I think Herbert could do a little bit better offensively than Fields, and because of that, I trust him late in the game more than I trust Fields late in the game, and that's the only thing giving me the edge right now with the Chargers.
All right. Cool.
All right, so I got 2 Chargers, 1 Steelers.
Not sure what Fife is doing.
I think for me, right? Like I think for me, I gotta pick the Ravens Cowboys game, right? I mean, like why not be a glutton for punishment? I think it's 4:25. Eric, can you scroll down just to make sure?
I believe you're right.
Yeah, so 4:25 game on Fox, so that means Dallas gets freaking Tom Brady again. Oh God, so annoying. Anywho,
is he worse than Chris Collinsworth?
I think it's gonna take a little bit for Tom.
Yeah, Collinsworth has so many years of wearing you down. Like Collinsworth is like a death by 1,000 cuts.
Is he
right?
worse than Joe Buck?
No. Nobody,
Joe Buck's all right.
Nobody
Joe Buck's
annoys
You
me.
don't like Buck? I like Buck and Aikman.
Listen, he something about him. I think he's just too anti-New York for me, and that's really what it comes down to. Is not that he's. I'm sure for other people they may enjoy listening to him. He gets paid a lot of money to do what he does. I mean, he's
Yes, he
on
does.
a pedestal I'll never reach. But at the same time, when he talks about New York sports, it like makes me cringe every time. So
It's because you heard him too many times on the Yankee World Series.
Yankee
I think that's
games.
what it is.
I've heard him on the Giant games on Fox. I've heard him like, I'm over.
Joe Buck.
I
Buck.
love Tirico. I'm a big Tirico guy.
Joe Buck sucks. I used to follow a guy who had like all sorts of memes stuff. It was all about Joe Buck sucks. But anyway,
Cowboys, Ravens.
Did you make a pick?
No.
He was just in the mood for glutton for punishment.
I gotta be honest, man. Like, and this isn't like this is not being Debbie Downer. This is not being somebody that thinks like Dallas is a bad team. I still think they're gonna compete for the division. I still think that they're gonna be in the playoffs. Like, they need to get their run defense figured out, and they need to figure out how to run the ball. And if there's one team that you really probably are not learning that lesson against, it's the Ravens. It just is. And their 16 game winning streak at home during the regular season got snapped. Sadly, I do think that they're going to start another streak and actually lose their second in a row at home against the Ravens. But I do think it's a much better game than what they put up against the Saints.
I think this is one of those games that's going to surprise you. I think this is one of those games where you're going to see Micah Parsons make a little bit of a difference. You're going to see CeeDee Lamb make a difference. You're going to see the Cowboys win at home. I really feel that way. I don't know why. Something about this game just reeks Cowboys to me. And I don't like that feeling. Like, I get that uncomfortable feeling right now just thinking about the Cowboys playing well.
I hope you're right because they play the Giants.
And the way that you're just like kind of down on them right now and like talking like, oh, well, the Ravens can, or match up well and not going to go. Something's telling me I'm going Cowboys at home. Jerry World 425, kind of the afternoon primetime game. Like you said, getting Brady on the mic. I'm taking the Cowboys at home.
I am too. I'm piggybacking right off of you, Eric. I'm taking the Cowboys at home. I think Baltimore's getting a little bit too much respect. These past couple weeks have not looked like typical Baltimore teams, in my opinion.
But I think by the end of the season, they're going to look typical Baltimore. I bet you they go on a run soon enough, but I just don't think that
right
run
now they
starts
don't, though. The defense isn't where it needs to be. I don't feel like the offense is incorporating Derrick Henry, that's his name.
Enough. You got to feed that
really
man the
don't.
ball.
He's a 30-time back.
He wears people down.
They need to be doing RPO with him and Lamar all day long, and they're not doing it yet. So I really like the Cowboys. I think they're gonna get things going again back at home, and I think they're gonna take it to Baltimore and Lamar. And surprisingly, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, that Baltimore is gonna be 0-3.
I don't think they're going to be 0-3 for long. I bet you they're going to be a team that comes on late in the year. But, Rhea, I'm with you, Joey. I'm with you. So, being that I know Five hasn't had the chance to call in, I know I'm just psychic ability here. Plus, you know, I got a tip from Schmelrose earlier. He called me from Saskatchewan, and we got to talking. And he told me that if Fife had a pick this week, a shit show pick of the week, it would have to be the Giants versus the Brownstains. Two of the most disappointing teams out there. I mean, the Browns calling for their $240 million, $230 million guaranteed quarterback to be benched. The Giants fans also calling for Daniel Jones to be benched. Like, both of these teams not where either of them want to be. The Browns thought they'd be better than they are now. They're not. And
both quarterbacks look better, though, than week 2.
They look better in week 2, but they still aren't. Neither fan base is happy. So I got to think that this is where he would go with his pick. We'll text him later, see what it is. But I look at this game, and I don't see any chance in hell the Giants are going on the road and winning somewhere. Unless somehow it just frees up Daniel Jones' mind, and it takes the stress, and it takes all of that away from him, and he can focus on just the game and maybe, just maybe, win against a Browns team that is clearly underperforming right now. So I'm not going to pick it, to be honest with you. I got to go with the Browns. Even as a Giant fan, I hate to say it. But trust me, I'm rooting for the Giants. I want the Giants to win.
Are they playing in Cleveland?
They're playing in Cleveland, I believe. I believe it is in Cleveland. I could be wrong. Yep.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because
Cleveland.
the Jets are playing Thursday. They probably don't want to have 2 games. Well, it's the NFL, so what the hell is it?
So Browns 1-1, Giants 0-2, but to be honest, Browns haven't looked good.
Look at that over/under. That is brutal. 38.5. Ugh.
There's zero confidence in either offense. The Giants are the first team in history to score 3 touchdowns, not give up any touchdowns, and still lose the game. The other team kicked 7 field goals.
Wish I had him in fantasy. I wouldn't have lost by 1.22.
To score 21 points, the Giants and real quick, I don't want to go backwards, but being that we're on this game, is this not the most egregious thing that Dable has done yet? And I was a guy who praised him after week 1, his first year there against the Titans. When they had that win, they would go for 2 at the end, you know, and he had his day balls and all that. What happened to that guy? Because that guy was too scared to put a backup kicker on the roster this week. Because he knew Gano was hurt already. He was hurt already.
I don't know why.
And then they let him come on the field. He gets hurt during the kickoff. And then they let their backup punter, whatever, who comes on, try to extra point. He shanked it, didn't go anywhere. And now all of a sudden, they didn't try another extra point. They didn't try a field goal. They didn't try anything. It cost them drives. It cost them the game. How do you not have a backup kicker on your roster when you know that your kicker has an injury already? Oh, my God. It blows my mind. To me, it's a serious lapse in judgment, and it makes me question Dable. And I look at it now, and I'm like, are you going to fix yourself this time? Because obviously they had to go out and get a kicker. But
I think they got Greg Joseph, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I just hope he's kick an extra point. I'm not even asking for field goals. Just an extra point. 3 touchdowns. The Giants actually scored 3 touchdowns and still did not eclipse 20 points on the day.
Nope.
That's embarrassing. So anyway.
That also made me feel a little bit better about the Cowboys getting their asses whooped.
Embarrassing. At least they put up 19. They outscored the Giants last week. Even though they got blown out, they outscored the Giants.
Aubrey almost tied the NFL record on the kick.
So
yeah, give me the Browns. I'm sorry,
Browns. It's got to be
the Browns just have a more talented roster. I mean,
I'll take the Browns D right now to shut down the Giant O.
Deshaun Watson and
kind of got the Browns on. You're wearing the Browns a little bit here.
I would probably put Watson and Jones in basically the same
pink.
category, but
I don't know about pink, but like it's more.
It looks a little orange.
Definitely looks orange to me.
Okay. Well, okay, it's salmon.
I like it.
I'll go salmon.
Oh, that's salmon.
It's a nice color. I'm saying I like it, but I'm just saying kind of brownish.
But yeah, I'm going with the Browns as well.
So it's a clean sweep on the Brown stains.
Dog pound.
Well, I don't know about you guys. I want to see Joey get slapped. My stomach is starting to growl.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen.
Let me take off my glasses.
I think we are at that time of the night.
Yeah, I apologize.
have
Not for the
so
abrupt
many
ending, but all of a sudden my
slaps
stomach
coming
just
my
went.
way.
I gotta get him a fresh
Oh,
one.
you're gonna get him a freshie? Why not? Just use that one. Just use the same
No,
one.
you can't.
It had such a great sound to it. You know where to hold it.
This is unbelievable.
Each
So
tortilla
Eric
is
is
unique.
Eric is 6-0 in these freaking tortilla bets, man. But it's okay. Me and Dave are gonna get him one day. We're
Dude,
gonna get him.
if it works
the Mets are gonna make the playoffs, so we can get a
if it works
tortilla
out
bet.
like in the same week, we can slap them. We should slap them simultaneously. Get them.
From each angle.
But until
Gotta
then,
get out of Eric's
is that the
swing
noise?
motion
Do
here.
you have the different noise on? Alright, let's do this.
Hold on.
Joey's getting a chipmunk slap.
Hold on.
Hold on, wait, you gotta come a little closer.
Oh, there we go. I got the mic right here. I'm just gonna keep it behind so Eric doesn't have to worry about hitting the mic.
That works. So I gotta line it up. You got the hat on. I
Probably
gotta.
gonna knock the hat off.
Alright, so I gotta.
I kind of really hope it does. I think it's going to.
1, 2, 3.
Now that hurt a little more than I thought.
Did it?
I didn't have
I didn't even care.
I definitely didn't have the sound effects in mind.
It did not, but. You know what? There's always next week because he's got 2 more coming.
2 more.
So
That
it
was
was
fun.
that was your first one of 3.
Miserable.
It's right. It's like, oh, Joe, you
then
get to watch yourself.
And then me and Dave play this week, so there could be a 4, and he's got a 20-point advantage so far.
It's just a little tap,
Little
tap,
love tap.
taparoo.
You haven't been slapped once though. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Not yet, but
that's my
again, I got,
Karma's a bitch. It's coming for you.
I loved it. You're like, I already got 3 in the chamber.
Yeah.
I had 16 of them in here. So
Oh God. What we need Fife to be in studio and put him in a slap bet position. Like,
No, I don't want to be
like if we
slapped
know,
by him.
like if we knew he was coming next week, be like, all right, Fife,
here's
What's-
the bet.
you gotta make one bet with each one of us. If you whatever bets you lose, you get a slap. Whatever bets you win, you give out a slap.
The sound effect somehow is better on yours. I don't
Yeah,
know why. I don't know. If, I think
you let go of it and everything with his.
well, yes, but I feel like I still got a good one on you.
It was just.
It was
Nah.
just.
Yeah, see, I
don't know
think
if it
that, I
was
think
the
that's what it
beard.
is. I think you caught more
went
of
his
the cheek.
chin.
Yeah, like
And for me, you got the chin.
yeah. So
And it whipped. It just whipped. I was like, ooh.
right, it's a quick little sting.
Yeah,
So,
the little
all
sting.
good.
I didn't think it was going to sting as that bad. I was just like,
You know
ooh.
what doesn't sting at all? Hitting the like button, the subscribe button, the share button. Doing
It's so easy.
all
Timmy wants to
those fun
redo it. Hey,
things.
if he wants to redo, that's fine, but it counts as 2 then. There's no redo. There's another one.
Timmy, he's got another one coming next week. Davis was already today, so I don't want to pile too many up.
Well, let's just save them.
We're
Save
gonna
it for
say
next week.
Next week, Joey's got another one coming. I'll let him pick whether it's going to be the beginning of the show or the end of the
I'll
show.
do the beginning of the show next week.
All right, beginning of next
start it
week's
off.
show.
Oh, awesome.
Joey's going to
Next week,
start
my
off with
post will be
slap
watch
number 2.
Joey Doth,
47
47.
on
Gets
Instagram.
slapped by a
That's how you can find our
tortilla.
buddy Joey here.
Let's go, baby.
You can find David at Mr. David Hastings, or no. David Hastings 23.
There is no Mister, just David Hastings
23 on
Ain't no
on
Mister.
on Instagram too, or just on the X
I think
Twitter
I
X.
think Instagram. I'm D Hastings 23. I don't think I'm David Hastings on Instagram.
And I'm at the Living Legend on X, Twitter,
Oh, and our
whatever you call it. Our fourth unofficial co-host showed up, Mr. Louie. And you can find him at Louie Aussie Dude. He's our official mascot back here. You can find us at Die on This Hill on YouTube. And yeah, until next time, I mean, you know, don't be afraid to have an opinion.
TJ, who's your mama?
You know, you can pick him up on your fantasy wire. And
Louis Aussie dude.
yeah, he's probably there too, although he's not going to make many catches out on the field for you.
Yeah, no, the lack of an opposable thumb really makes that hard to do. But
Right? But until next week, don't be afraid to have an opinion and die on this hill with us.
Oh, yeah.